Hi, Kamina the coach here, and we're back again. These are supposed to only be once a week, but while there's no content on the channel, I'm going to record every time I have the energy to do it. So here we are. I must admit this is take 3, and I am not technology savvy, so bear with me, folks. I want to dedicate this post to some amazing, brilliant young ladies that I met at the university today. This is dedicated to you, Bunny and friends, right? I believe that you can do anything you put your heart to. I have faith in you. Have faith in yourselves. All right, so I talk a lot about being vulnerable. I'm going to be especially vulnerable today and talk about something that's very difficult for me, something that I struggle with often, and I think I'm going to talk about it because I think a lot of other people struggle with it as well, and that's being able to forgive people and holding grudges. So, first of all, we're going to talk about what holding a grudge can do to you. I'll give you a little metaphor for that. And then I'm going to tell you my story and what I did to forgive. And there's lots of different techniques that you could use. The most important thing is that you just take some step. That you take some kind of step forward to moving out of that place. So what does holding on to a grudge or holding on to anger and resentment do to you? Well, it just destroys your happiness overall, really. So first of all, in your close personal intimate relationships, holding on to grudges towards other people can often manifest itself in really small, insidious ways. So if someone that you care about does something small and you find yourself having an intense overreaction, oftentimes that's because you're carrying anger and frustration towards someone else that you haven't either resolved or expressed or released. Right? So that's really detrimental to your personal life, to your social life. Also, holding on to those negative feelings, holding on to that anger, resentment, that bitterness can actually cause disease. So when we actually break up the word disease, dis-ease, we're talking about dis-ease, not having ease within yourself. So this is a particular problem inside women because we are conditioned to smile and put on a happy face and not express how upset or disappointed we are often. So a lot of times women have stomach problems because they have dis-ease inside. So some very, very big reasons that you need to find a way to forgive and let go of those grudges that you have towards people, even the very difficult ones. So we liken holding on to a grudge or holding on, not forgiving someone, to drinking poison and expecting the person that you're angry at to die. That's what it's like when you stay mad at somebody, when you refuse to forgive someone. You're basically killing yourself and expecting it to hurt them. And that doesn't make much sense, does it? I'm just as guilty as the next, so trust me, I'm not pointing a finger at you. I'm just hoping to enlighten you a little bit. So let me tell my personal story and what I did to forgive this person. So as I mentioned before, I was adopted and discarded at 14. Surprisingly, those aren't the people I struggled to forgive. The people I really the person I really struggled to forgive was my birth mother. I couldn't understand why. And I may never know why this woman discarded me at birth. And it's hard for me to say, and it's probably hard for you to hear, but I used to say she should have just had an abortion. She didn't do me any favors. My life was very difficult growing up. If she thought she was sending me off to a better life, she didn't. So again, this is being vulnerable, it's being very honest, and that's how I felt. And I was very, very angry at this woman, and it was holding me back in a lot of ways. In personal relationships, I was very snappy, very over emotional for very random things. So I was talking to a friend who's also very spiritually enlightened, and we're talking about the dilemma of not being able to forgive and the fact that it's something that you must do. So one of my favorite motivational speakers is Tony Robbins, and this person shared with me a technique or an idea that actually helped me, or it actually broke me down, really. So it's this idea that you have a playbook inside of your mind of how life should be played out. So I know for me personally, my playbook is very rigid. I have very, very high standards for myself. So you have this playbook inside of your mind, and nobody else has a copy of this playbook. So when people aren't playing by your rules, then you're angry, right? Because you feel that life should go this way and this way and this way. But these are your set of rules that you haven't shared with anybody else. It's you. It's inside of you. And people outside of you don't have access to that information. And for some reason, that triggered something deep inside of me. And for the first time, I was able to transport myself into this woman's shoes and think about things from her position. I was born in 1979. Abortion was probably still illegal then. People were probably still doing abortions in the back of vans. She could have been raped. I don't know what her situation was, but I know it definitely brought me down to tears. And I was so sorry that I had held on to that anger and frustration for so long. And I was able to forgive her completely. And then I had to forgive myself for not forgiving her for so long. So it's just one technique. It's just one of many ways. And as you'll always hear me say, if you don't reach out to me, reach out to somebody. If you don't like this technique, there's many, many others. But the most important thing is that you find a way. So if you're angry, if you're hurt, if somebody did something to hurt you, you don't necessarily have to discuss it with them and tell them that you forgive them. But you have to find a way within yourself, inside of your heart, to release that anger and frustration, to release yourself, to free yourself. Anger and frustration doesn't serve you, and not forgiving them doesn't serve you. And forgiveness is not for them. It's for you and your life. All right, guys, I've gone over my time, so I'm going to wrap it up here. So until next time, this is Kamina the Coach, wishing you love, light, and joy. Until next time.